We're living in this age of absolute technological miracles, but for so many of us, something just feels off. How is it that as our gadgets get smarter and smarter, we're seeing this rise in anxiety and this slowdown in our economies? Well, that is the paradox of progress, and we're going to dig into it right now.
I mean, you can't deny it. We are living in a world packed with technological wonders. We've got supercomputers in our pockets, AI is completely reshaping entire industries, and we're connected to each other across the globe like never before. The speed of it all is just breathtaking. It feels like every single day we're unlocking some new, more efficient, more powerful way of doing things. And yet, here it is, the big paradox. With all these incredibly powerful digital tools at our fingertips, we're seeing some really troubling trends. Economic productivity, it's stalling out in a lot of places. Mental health issues, they're on the rise. And people are reporting that they feel more isolated than ever before. So if our tech is supposed to be making everything better, why do some of the most important parts of our society feel like they're actually getting worse? That's the mystery we're unpacking.
All right, so let's start by digging into the actual data behind this huge disconnect. Section 1, we're calling it the progress paradox, that growing gap between our amazing technology and our lagging human and economic progress. To really wrap our heads around the problem, we've got to see how the very engine of our economy has changed over time. So look at this chart. We went from an economy based on personal labor, muscle and skill, to one built on industrial capital. We're talking machines, factories, that kind of thing. But the source material argues we're now in a totally new era, the post-industrial one. And here, the key resource isn't a machine. It's integrated technology, and the driving force behind it all is human creativity. I mean, in theory, this should be our golden age. But here's the bombshell. Even with technology at the heart of everything we do, the data shows this baffling, steady decline in both labor and capital productivity across most of the economy. Yeah, outside of the tech industry itself, we just are not seeing the massive gains we all expected. More tech, it turns out, doesn't automatically mean more economic output. And listen, this isn't just some abstract economic puzzle for academics to solve. No, this has real, profound human consequences. The source points out that for billions of people, the standard of living is basically flatlined. This widening gap between the promise of technology and the tough reality of daily life, well, that's a huge source of social tension all over the world. And this crisis goes so much deeper than just economics. It's a crisis of our well-being. Get this. According to a World Health Report cited in our source, a staggering 450 million people worldwide are suffering from mental or neurological disorders. In fact, acute depression is now the single leading cause of disability. The source argues this isn't some random side effect of modern life, it's a symptom of a much, much deeper problem. So what is going on here? What's the root cause of this paradox? Well, in Section 2, we're going to explore the source's pretty stark diagnosis, that all of our technological progress might just be coming at the cost of our own humanity. So the source introduces this really powerful and frankly jarring term to describe where we are right now, the caucosphere. Now, you might have heard of the noosphere, which is the idea of this sphere of human thought and consciousness covering the planet. Well, the caucosphere is its dark twin. It's what happens when human activity starts to turn our world into, well, a garbage dump. And as you can see here, this term isn't just about physical pollution and trash. It's being used as a powerful metaphor for a deep social flaw. I mean, just think about the toxicity we all see online every day. The argument is that our human relationships, our communities, are also at risk of becoming a kind of garbage dump, just turning toxic and spiraling out of control. This quote from the source really paints a chilling picture of this modern, isolated individual. It describes people who live their lives online, working in these networks, speaking their own slang, but are fundamentally closed, unsociable, psychologically unstable. In other words, they might be intellectually brilliant, but they're also humanly impoverished. Okay, I know that is a pretty bleak diagnosis, but the source doesn't just leave us there in the dark. In Section 3, we're going to look at its proposed solution, a future that puts humanity, not just our technology, back at the absolute center of the story. Now, this is a really crucial point. The answer is not to go out and smash the machines. The source is very clear about rejecting any kind of new Luddism. Technology isn't the enemy here. Actually, it's a tool that can free us up for creativity and self-improvement. The problem isn't the tech itself, it's the values, or lack of values, that we use to guide it. So to fix our approach, the source says we need a huge shift in how we think. As you can see here, we need to move from thinking about human capital to focusing on human potential. See, human capital is an economic term. It sees your education as just an investment for a financial payoff, like job training. But human potential, that's a much bigger, more holistic idea. It sees the whole person, their values, their ethics, their spirit, as the ultimate goal. It's about creating a society that's better for everyone, not just one that's better for the bottom line. And this really gets us to the heart of the proposed solution. To stop this dehumanization in its tracks, the source argues we have to reinvest in the very things that make us human, our capacity for morality, for ethics, and for simple kindness. It's not about rejecting technology. It's about strengthening our inner values so that we can guide our incredible power wisely and give our lives meaning. So how do we do that? How do we build those values? The source proposes this pretty radical solution it calls ab ovo, which is Latin for from the very beginning. It's a three-stage overhaul of how we raise and educate people. Step 1 starts right in the family, by prioritizing real, live communication, actual dinner table conversations, over being glued to a screen. Step 2 is school. School has to focus not just on memorizing facts, but on teaching ethics and logic so kids know how to use those facts wisely. And finally, step 3 is university, which should be all about creating responsible adults guided by one simple but incredibly profound principle: do no harm. So this brings us to our final section, and really to the fundamental choice that this whole analysis has been leading up to. Where do we go from here? When you boil it all down, the conflict couldn't be clearer. On one side, we have a system that increasingly treats people like cogs in a machine for generating profit, and on the other, we have a vision for a future that completely flips that script, a future where our capital and our technology are used as tools to help every single one of us realize our fullest human potential. And so we're left with this incredibly powerful question. The tools we are building are getting more powerful every single day, but at the end of the day, they are still just tools. The path we take isn't going to be decided by our technology. It's going to be decided by the human values we choose to champion. So, will we let all this progress dehumanize us, or will we use it to enrich our humanity and reach our highest potential? According to the source, that choice is still very much ours to make.